Hey there, I'm going to show you quickly today how to create a very simple application using InForm Designer for QB64. I'm going to create a very simple game of Tic Tac Toe. And to do that, I'm going to start by creating a few buttons here. We're going to have 9 buttons for all the game board. Okay, this is a mess, but it doesn't matter because I have quick ways to align these things. Let's make these buttons have the same width and height, 80 pixels. I don't want these buttons to have any caption, so let's clear that. So I have here button 1, button 2, button 3. Now let me duplicate those. Control C, Control V. Okay, now let me duplicate those again. Control V once again. This form is a little bit small, let me resize it. Fine. I want it to be centered when I launch it. Okay. Now these buttons are a mess, but it doesn't matter. I can distribute them. Select, right click, distribute horizontally, repeat, align, distribute horizontally, repeat, align, distribute horizontally. Okay, they look fine now. I don't know if the vertical distribution is fine, so let me do that too. Align, distribute vertically. These, I don't want to select 2 rows, 2 columns at the same time. Align, distribute vertically, good. Align, distribute vertically as well. Fine, this looks like a nice board. If I select all the controls at once and choose center, horizontally and vertically, it's going to select to deal with all the group at once. So okay, that was already fairly centered horizontally. Let's see vertically. Okay, a good adjustment. This is a perfect grid with 9 buttons, very centered on my form. This is the beginning. Well, I don't need anything else for my very simple tic-tac-toe game. So let me save this and let's get to coding. It just exported my base source, the form, and the binary form that I can use if I want to reload it into the InForm Designer and edit it. Exit to QB64. Yes, please. Fine, here we have our controls. Oh shit, their names look terrible. I'm not gonna handle that. It's too bad. Let me go back to the editor and easily rename those controls. UI editor, let me launch it again. Fine, so the editor is up again. Let me load that tic-tac-toe form. This is button 1, button 2, button 3. I'm hitting tab on my keyboard to go from control to control. So this is now button 4. This is button 5. This is button 6. Let's go back here. This is now button 7, then button 8, and button 9. This is going to make it easier for me to refer to these controls later. Let's save it. Some files will be overwritten, no problem, because InForm is going to generate a backup of the ones I had before. But in this case, the backup is really not so necessary because I hadn't coded anything yet. But okay, exit to QB64, good. Okay, now we have here my program. It's empty so far with only definitions, and I'm going to use my buttons to create this tic-tac-toe game. Let me have here a shared variable because anything I write before these control definitions can be used. This area actually can be used for global variables and constants and anything I need. So let's say I want to have a shared variable here that's called this turn. Let's say it can be of the byte type because I'm going to have it only hold 1 or 2, whether it's player 1 or player 2's turn. Fine. At my onload event here, I'm going to say that this turn is 1. Any code I write in this event is only ran once in the beginning of my program. And now I want to handle the code for my buttons. Here it is, event click. Anything I want my buttons to do, I write in these case statements right here. They come presets so I can just fill them with code to my heart's content. So actually I want to do something different here. This is my form. I'm not going to have the form react, so I don't need it to be clickable. And button 1 to 9, they're all going to do the same thing. So I don't want to have one different set of code to do the same things for all of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete the select case block. And I'm going to work with the ID variable because all the events that are control related, they receive an ID, which is directly the ID of the control that was interacted with. So here, when this event subprocedure is run, we're going to get the ID of the button that was clicked. That's it. So before I go ahead, I'm going to make sure that it was a button that was clicked, not a form. So if the control which was clicked, if the type of this control is type button, then anything I write in here now is going to react only if the user clicked the button. Okay, now we're gonna have here, well, if the user clicked the button, first I want to make sure that this button doesn't already have an X or an O. I don't know if you guys use O or 0, but to me it's an O because it's an X, which is a letter, and then it's an O. Okay. Actually, here in Brazil we call them little balls in Tic Tac Toe, but it's okay. Well, some properties of controls, they are unused. We have a lot of different properties. You can check InForm's wiki to see which properties can be assigned to controls. And for button controls, the value property is completely unused. So I can use it for my own purposes if I wish to do so. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to store which player clicked this button first in the value property. So let me check. If this controls value is still 0, that is, if this button hasn't been clicked yet, I'm going, oops, that's never going to be auto-corrected. If it's 0, then I'm going to assign it however is this turn. Remember that the variable this turn holds the player number. It starts as number 1, player 1. So the user clicked this button, so this button is assigned 1 or 2 depending on which player is playing right now, whose turn it is. Okay, I've just set the button's value to the name of the player, the number of the player. Now I want to indicate to the user that this button was clicked and it belongs to that player. So let's change the caption property. Captions, they are referred with the ID as well. So caption for this button's ID is going to be, well, depending on the turn. If this turn is 1, then the caption is going to be an X. And then I automatically am going to switch this to player 2. This turn is 2. Or else, if this is turn 2, so the caption is going to be an O, or a little ball, as we call them here in Brazil. And then we switch the turn to player 1. Well, this is probably going to work already off the board, the working board. Let me just run it, F5 here. Oh, there's a syntax error on the current line. What did I forget? If this turn is 1, then caption, then this else, blah, blah, blah. Caption ID, oh, this turn equals 1. We're all set now. Let's hit F5 to run. It's creating my executable. Let's see if my Tic Tac Toe program responds to controls. Starting, there it is. If everything went right, when I click a button, it's going to assign an X, bam. Next button I click, it's player 2, it's going to assign an O, and there we have it. But so far, buttons don't change values, you can see that. But I don't have a Victor so far because there is no code evaluating if my users won or not. So I can even do this check. There is an X here, but nothing happens. Who wins? Who loses? We don't know. Let's write code for that right now. After each button is clicked, I want to check victory. this is a sub procedure that I'm going to write right now. Sub check victory. What I have to do here now is check if there is a row of controls with the same value. If that happens, then we have a winner. Let me create a variable here called winner. It can be byte. So if I just created it here, just declared it here, it holds 0. So if winner is greater than 0, then let's show a message to the user saying that player, let's see, let's convert this byte value to a string, and let's inform that player 1, whatever player has 1. Here I should enter a title. If I don't want a title, I just enter an empty string, and it's going to inherit the main program's title, caption. And here I should enter some configuration, some setup for this message box. I just want to go with 0. I don't need to add anything. You can check InForm's wiki to see which values you can use here. There are several constants available. Well, but how am I going to know who is the winner? I'm going to enter a set of if evaluations. This is easy. So remember that I set the value for each button to be 1 or 2, depending on whose turn it was. So I gotta check that if control button 1 value equals control button 2 value and control button 2 value equals control button 3 value, then winner is whoever clicked button 1, 2, and 3 at the same time. And if, let's just test if this is working. So far, my check victory sub procedure is only going to check for victory in the first row. Let's see if it works. F5 to compile and run. Let's see how it goes. Okay, because I didn't code anything for these buttons yet, only these are going to be valid. Let's set anything here. Let's see. Ball. Oh yeah, player 2 won. You see player 2. Let's try to see if player 1 can win as well. Player 1, player 1, player 1, player 1 won. Cool. Okay, we just have to extend this if block here to evaluate the other rows and columns as well. Let's Control C, Control V here in the QB64 IDE. So if the user had a sequence of successes in buttons 4, if button 4 equals button 5 and button 5 equals button 6, then the winner is the one that clicked buttons 4, 5, and 6. Let's just assign the value of button 4 and that should be enough. Let's go ahead and check for the final row. If button 7's value equals button 8's value and button 8's value equals button 9's value, then the winner is the player that clicked button 7, 8, and 9. Cool. Now let's go for rows, columns I mean. 1, 4, 7, 1, 4, if 1 equals to 4 and 4 equals 7, we have a winner. If 2 equals 5 and 5 equals 8, is that right? 2, 5, 8. So the winner is the player that clicked button 2. If the third column now, if column button 3 equals button 6 and button 6 equals button 9, then winner is the same person who clicked these buttons, including button 3. So here the winner is going to be the person who clicked button 3. Oh, now we just have to check for diagonals. 1, 5, 9. If 1 equals 5 and 5 equals 9, we have a winner. And if then 7, 5, 3. If 7 equals 5 and 5 equals 3, the winner is the guy who clicked including button 7. So This probably deals with all the logic behind a tic-tac-toe game. So let's see if it works. F5 to compile, creating an executable. C++ compilation was successful. Starting the program, there we have it. Let's see. Player 1 clicked here, cool. Player 2 clicked here, oh, bam. Player 1 clicked here again, and then player 2 tried to block him, and then player 1 again, and then player 2 went here and won. Player 2 won, cool, we got it. Okay, I should now write some code to reset these variables and start over, but you get the gist of it. Okay, because I haven't made anything else to this code, after there is a winner, we're gonna go back to system. Okay, let me save it, run again. Let's see if after a victory, we have the program closing by itself. Player 1 went here, player 2 went here, oh, player 1 went here, player 2 went here, player 1 won, okay, we're back to system. Okay, this is it. This is how you create a very simple application. On the next video, I'm going to show you a little bit more, some more techniques, because I'm going to try to replace these buttons with labels, because labels can be clicked. They can also have different background colors. We're going to see if we make something more visually appealing. Thanks for watching.